Hey everyone, what's up? Welcome back to another episode of the Mostly Ballin podcast. As always, I'm your host Ben, and we have a very exciting video once again to unpack. It has been a crazy sort of last weekend of British basketball across the men's and women's league in the trophy as it continues to go on, and we have a very filled weekend coming up. Tomorrow, it's Thursday today, so tomorrow everything starts again. So we are going to unpack what's happened. We're going to look ahead to what's going to happen, and we're just going to enjoy it. I am loving bringing you some content. I have no intention on slowing down. Yes, it's just me for the moment, but that's okay. Egg and Eli are still very much in touch. But obviously, yeah, as I've explained previously, they've got some stuff going on, and that's okay. They send their best wishes to everyone on Mostly Ballin and to all you guys out there. So without further ado, let's get into it. And we will start with last Friday when the Caledonia Gladiators went up against the Eagles. Now, the Eagles have enjoyed a very strong start to the season. They were 4-0 heading into the end of last weekend. And yeah, they did beat the Caledonian Gladiators. It was a close game. The final score 71-66. And sort of the damage, you could say, was done in the second and the fourth, where the Eagles sort of did damage. But that being said, the Gladiators did everything they could to come back. And I mean, in the third quarter, 21 points to 12. So, you could very much say that it was on, but Eagles doing what they've done so far this tournament just did enough to see them over the line and pick up that fourth win. It was. What I thought I'd do this video as well, just because I've not done it yet. As we're going along, I'm gonna sort of name some players across the teams that I think are worth keeping an eye on. Now, obviously, we've had a few games and time to get used to guys and players, so I thought it'd be a good time now. Now, I will apologise if I've missed anyone from any teams. Obviously, teams play on different times. Maybe a team doesn't play on one weekend. So if I have missed anyone, I do apologise. Please feel free to comment in the video or on socials if I have. And if you guys have seen anyone that I haven't, then again, do let me know. But I think now that we've seen Eagles and the form that they've been in, we know that Josh Ward-Hibbert has returned. He's been a key player so far. But also I think Alan Aikens, sorry if I've said that wrong, but again, another one to look out for. He's been quite consistent as a top scorer for the side. Seneca Knight again, one of those players that are just constantly causing a threat. So there's a few there. For Caledonia, obviously Pat Whelan has returned. Ale Hodzic, you got Princeton Onwas. A lot of guys that have gone back. But for me, Stuckman, who's a new player in to the side, again, he's been one to cause a consistent threat early on in the stages of the trophy. So for both sides there's some very threatening guys on both ends of the floor to look out for, 100%. So that's all of Friday's action from last weekend, just the one game. Saturday was a bit more full on the men's and women's front. Surrey and Bristol faced off with a Bristol win. It was actually very comfortable. In fact, Surrey missed out 69-92. And again, yeah, a lot like the Eagles outscoring on the second and fourth. It was Bristol to do the same, and Surrey just couldn't quite put things together. Unfortunately, I think Surrey aren't a team to write off. They had a good start against London, and they've been in the games against Bristol. They've played them twice now back to back. So, both teams definitely worth keeping an eye on. For Surrey, again, some players that I've highlighted. Cam Gooden, a returner, again, is highlighting himself as one of the club's highest scorers and definitely adds to sort of rebounds and assists. So keep an eye on Gooden as he continues his fine form in a Surrey jersey. Nicholas Cholivinskas, I think I've got that one. I couldn't say his name last season. We saw glimpses of him playing for the Scorchers, and obviously as coming up as quite a youngster amongst names, I think he will definitely be someone to keep an eye on. Obviously, it being his second season in the pro team, could definitely have a breakout season with how things have gone and sort of rebranding and rebuilding sort of thing. So again, I've highlighted him as a player, and I know on the podcast he's definitely a fan favourite. And for Bristol, I think this name is going to be popular, not just amongst Bristol fans, but also across the league, is Tenny Tennyson. I don't think much needs to be said. If you've seen his game, the way he can just relentlessly score and do things just across the floor, I think he will definitely be amongst a lot of highlight reels this coming season. And another new one for Bristol, Evan Walsh obviously made the move from Manchester. Hasn't had the highest amount of numbers to add to the game, but comes off the bench and does add the numbers, whether it's points, rebounds, assists. So I think give him time, he'll settle in, and we could see a good season from Evan Walsh again. But as I said, even coming off the bench, he gives that little bit of fresh air and is able to add to the game. So that's always a positive thing to have. And in the women's league, in the SLBW, I'm going to call it, there's a lot of letters, but I haven't decided what to call it yet. In the Betty Cadona Trophy, the Glads beat Durham quite convincingly. It was 98-71. And it was quite a big third quarter, 13 points to 31. Yeah, it was. I think that's probably where the damage is always done in one quarter or the other. So, great win for Caledonia. Actually don't think I've got team names written down. I do apologize, but not to worry. Again, as I said, I'm still getting used to doing this by myself. But if you do have any names that you think are worth it, then please let us know. And we would love to obviously shout them out and keep an eye on them ourselves. So that was a win for Durham. And Manchester, we got to see them for the first time. They played twice last weekend. A new start for them, which is very exciting. New head coach coming in, quite a bit of a rebuild. They won against the Nottingham Wildcats. It was 93-62. And the damage, I gotta say, was done in the first half. Manchester kind of just comfortably went out as if they've been playing for quite a while and did the damage. Look into the second half. The third quarter was tied 18 apiece, and then the fourth was tied 17 apiece. So Nottingham did well to sort of come back and have those third and fourth quarters not run away. But as I said, Manchester just kind of came out and played like they've always been together, which was good. Now, I've not had an awful lot of time to look at the women's games, I will admit, and I do plan on changing that as the weeks go by. But just having a look at how the teams have done, for Nottingham, I would probably say keep an eye out for Jacobs, who seems to be one of the top scorers in these early rounds. And for Manchester, obviously they've got Georgia Anderson back, which is great news. Her husband, Jamel Anderson, has made the move to Sheffield, as we obviously previously discussed. But for Manchester, Fitzpatrick stood out for me again, being that attacking threat and getting the points up. Now, Obviously, having great defense is important, but I was kind of just looking through, seeing who caught my eye, and for me, it was these two players that have seemed to early on help their side do what they need to do, which is always good. Then we had London versus the Essex Rebels. Now, it's not been the best of starts for London. Obviously, circumstances haven't helped. We can only hope that things get better as the trophy progresses, and maybe they're looking ahead to the start of the league as well, where they've got a bit longer over the course of the season to really gel. Probably for the likes of London and Manchester and teams that have had to sort of rebuild themselves, the trophy could be an opportunity as a pre-season. Now, I'm not undermining the importance of the trophy. It is silverware, of course, but the pressure may be taken off them, I guess. Rebels just caused absolute havoc. It was 47-102. Now, unfortunately for London, in that second quarter, they only managed to get one bucket. It was 2 points, and that's where the Rebels just said, okay, let's get the job done. They scored 31 points. And yeah, it didn't look too good for London in that game, and at the moment, they're still winless. But as I said, not writing anybody off. Let's hope that they can pick up and find some form. They've got the players there. For London, I've highlighted Zeri and Esbrand as some of the top scorers, but also players that add a little bit here and there in terms of rebounding and assisting. They stood out to me. And for the Essex Rebels, it kind of seemed like a no-brainer when looking at who is amongst kind of the most impactful players. O'Brien, for me, is the one from Rebels. Has had a really strong start to the season and to the group stages. So if you're an Essex fan, let me know if that's a good call to make. I know we have a few comment on some of the videos, so do let me know. And again, if there's any other ones, then again, comment. But Essex have had a very strong start, and that was a convincing win for them quite comfortably. Moving on to Sunday, again, quite a full day. We had the Sharks beating the Gladiators in overtime. Now, up until overtime, really, it was a close game. The lead didn't really go when I talk about the lead, I mean at the end of each quarter, looking at the quarter breakdowns, there wasn't really much between them. 2-3 points. I think at one point there was a 5-point advantage in one of the quarters. But when it came to overtime and the game was tied, Sharks just said, okay, again, let's get the job done. We've had enough of playing. We just need to put the game to bed. And they did. It was 13 points to 4 in that overtime quarter. And yeah, as I said, a very, very exciting game. Probably the game of the weekend. Or definitely one of them. In terms of closeness and excitement and sort of not knowing what to call. And some players that I've highlighted. Now, I think this player for the Sharks is only fair to mention, and definitely not the only one, but has impressed last weekend against when they faced up against Cheshire. He put up 39 points, which, reading on socials, is the highest, I think, since 2021. I think when it was Kofi Jacobs that put up a few more against Manchester, and that was going into the 40s. I'm sure I've got that right. Apologies if I'm wrong. I'm not used to doing all the talking, but there we go. It's good fun. So Prentice Nixon for me is going to be definitely one to watch out for the Sharks. Obviously, they've got the likes of Jamel and Big Mike that have gone. They've obviously had British basketball experience before as Knicks players. Jamel obviously being with Leicester as well and Manchester. So definitely some good signings there for the Sharks. And Groves again has been a player that I have been impressed with. I've seen a few of the Sharks games now. Obviously, they've played Cheshire twice. He's again consistently being named as one of the highest, one of the top scorers for the Sharks as they play their games. So I think Groves coming in as a new guy is one to definitely keep your eyes on. That brings us to the Knicks and Eagles game. I got to admit, I was nervous about this one. I wasn't entirely sure what was going to happen. I knew it was a must-win. If we were gonna, if Cheshire was sort of gonna look to claim second or definitely be more comfortable in second, I think if we were to see another team take that one, then it's really close sort of between Cheshire and Glads. So Cheshire needed that win, and they got it. It was 90-82, which brings the Eagles winning run to an end, unfortunately. But it was a very entertaining game. Bit of a shaky third from Cheshire. I think we've seen sort of throughout their games starting off. That's again no criticism. As I said, it's early days for everyone. They need time to settle in. They brought in a lot of new guys. They've retained a lot of new guys as well. So it's all about implementing the playing style. Massive fourth quarter though, and that's where the damage was done. Eagles tried their best to come back, and they did. I was on the edge of my seat quite literally, and I thought, I wasn't prepared for another loss at home. But 34 points to 19 was very impressive. And Knicks did what they had to do. They got the win at home, and will go on to face the Eagles again this coming weekend. But we'll move on to that in a second. Now, obviously, we've spoken about the Eagles and players to watch out for. But we've got to look at the Knicks as well now. Last season, Cam Christon had a very good sort of debut season in the British League, the BBL as it was known. Now, he was named as the sixth man of the year across the league and picked up that award in the playoff finals. This season, I think he's going to have a much higher role. Cam Holden, exactly the same. So you got the two Cams there. TJ Atwood from Plymouth, we know what he did at Plymouth last season. And he's made that step up to stay in the SLB. Now, this is a name that is very familiar and I'm very excited to talk about. Mr. Larry Austin Jr., no stranger to the Phoenix. He spent 2 seasons with them, going to 2 trophy finals, picked up the trophy. So he's no stranger to Cheshire at all. Welcome back, Larry, to the SLB and to the Cheshire family. He, I think, is going to be one to look out for 100%. He's got to be. Enjoyed a good spell with the Eagles as well, so has kept his foot in British basketball and has come back. That has come with sort of having to say goodbye to a player. Now, obviously, we know teams only get 6 import slots, so can only bring in 6 players from overseas. The rest have sort of got to be British players. It is Ricky Clemens that has left the club for Larry Austin to come in. So thank you to Ricky for the efforts he did put in during his time, and obviously we wish him all the best. I gotta say, I was excited by what I saw, but I think now is the time. If a player is not quite fitting into a coach's playing style, then obviously changes have got to be made. And I think not just me, but I think anyone, if it was their team, would want it done now, during the early stages rather than midpoint through the season. So I think for Cheshire, that's a good move. Obviously, bringing in someone who's no stranger and knows how Ben plays, and how to get the teams excited. So yeah, obviously, Skylar again is captain for the side. So with the contributions he can make to the team, there's a lot there to look out for the Knicks, and probably one of the teams to watch this season amongst the likes of your Eagles and your Sharks, Gladiators even. So a lot of exciting players in the league, that is for sure. I gotta remember not to talk about the Knicks too much. This is a pod that looks at everybody. So if I do go on, someone comment and put me back in order, because as I said, we look at everybody. Then again on Sunday, Sheffield and Manchester had oh no, sorry, this is the women's one. I've not differentiated my notes, if that's the right word. Moving on to the women's side, a few more games there. Sheffield and Manchester played. Now, it was obviously Manchester's second one. Unfortunately, they just missed out on a win. Excuse my dog in the background there, if you can hear him. He's going a bit nuts. 78-75 was the final score. So just a 3-point loss for Manchester. Sheffield Hatters put on a good show. Again, probably going to be one of the teams to look out for. Georgia Gale being a familiar name across the women's league. And Zolfa, I hope I got that name right again, will be another one that I've highlighted. Obviously, we've spoken about Manchester and Georgia Anderson being back, which is good news. And there's a lot of new guys there as well, new players there to be excited about. Cardiff and Oakland were the other team to play on Sunday. A bit of a blowout win for Oakland, 106-35. So Cardiff are struggling at the moment to get things started. But as I said, similar to London, I'm sure that isn't how things are going to continue, and they'll start to find that rhythm and pick up. Obviously, summer was quite strange with not knowing what would happen, so maybe teams have just got to find their feet again. For Oakland, Beckford Norton, again, is a name very, very well known throughout the league. Sam Ashby, another one. For Cardiff, I've got Hoscher. I'm sorry if I've not said your name correctly, but again, a few familiar names. And as I've said before, I've not really had a time to watch a women's game all the way through to have a solid say. So excuse me on that one. But again, some exciting players and new starts for teams. So obviously Manchester sitting 1-1 at the moment. We'll hope to maybe pick up another win, and bid to maybe even clinch top possibly. But obviously a lot of teams have gone unbeaten, so it's going to be tough. The way the women's one works, obviously we spoke about the men's one. Just a quick reminder, obviously the men's, the top two from both North and South go through. For the women's, it's 4 groups, and the top spot goes through on each one to make up the semis. So it's a bit tighter in the women's league. On, if you win, then obviously you're comfortable. If you've lost, then you've got to find that winning form again. That is everything that has taken place over sort of last weekend, and anything that I've missed between the last episode. As I said, I will find rhythm and sort of structure a bit more. It's just taken the early stages of the season, taking a minute to figure out how things are going to work. But don't worry, there's plenty in store. I got a lot of interviews lined up across wheelchair basketball as well, so that's exciting. To be fair, there's a lot of free reign at the moment with it just being myself, so I'll have to figure out, but a lot of free reign. Any suggestions, please do get in touch on socials or underneath the video. By all means, let us know what you want to see, because I, for one, will be needing ideas as well as I was thinking up my own. So, without further ado, again, looking up to tomorrow, where it all starts off. Caledonia and the Sharks meet up once again. Now, Caledonia at home will want to obviously have revenge on the Sharks. They've had a good start to the season and to the trophy, definitely. So it's not out of the question for Caledonia to come back and win. Obviously, Sharks again will need to be kept quiet with the likes of Nixon and Groves. So if Caledonia can do that, I think it's a good chance for revenge for Caledonia to get their win. Then definitely all eyes from the Knicks will turn to Eagles, who they played on Sunday. Yeah, on Sunday. Knicks go to the Virtua Arena to play the reverse fixture, so that'll be the second time. And it will be Larry's first game back as a Phoenix player, playing against his former team, the Eagles. So that one, no doubt, will have some entertainment and high intensity to it. Both of those games on Friday night tip off at 7:30. As we all know, the Zone is the place to be. If you haven't signed up, it is free. Just your email address. If you've got a smart TV, fantastic, a bigger screen, but on all sort of devices, your phone, your tablet, your laptop, I've got to admit I've got it everywhere. Downloaded it on the Xbox, so all games will be on the go, I can assure you. But yeah, those two teams are tipping off at 7:30. Two games, sorry. Then on Saturday, it is Surrey versus the Riders. Now, we haven't spoken about the Riders yet, so as a new face, Hunter, again, during the previous games, has been sort of one to put up good numbers, and Zach Jackson, a returning player amongst all the new guys, will be someone definitely to look out for this season, looking to have an impactful run of games, absolutely no doubt. Surrey will host the Riders at 6 o'clock on Saturday evening, with just the one game in the men's, but it is a busy afternoon on Saturday for the women's. 5 games in total, and it all starts off at 2 p.m. With Manchester versus London. Now, as we know, London 0-2 at the moment. Manchester have had quite a good start. Probably will have a lot of hope in that one, and definitely be happy with how they've started. If they can do what they've been doing, then I would say it's a Manchester win, which will definitely give them some comfort. Cardiff host Sheffield. Manchester and London at 2 p.m. If I haven't already said. Cardiff and Sheffield Hatters at 3:15. Sheffield, I would probably say, are going to be quite comfortable in this one, with how things have been going. Essex and Nottingham Wildcats. Sorry, I'm going to say that this one, I'm just sort of referring back to my previous notes. Nottingham, again, obviously lost to Manchester. Will be looking for that comeback win. Will it happen? I'm not too sure. Obviously, Essex are quite hot at the moment with how they've been playing. And that one is at 4 o'clock. I'm going to go with an Essex win and say that they will continue their streak. Oakland and Durham. Again, two teams that have kind of had some good performances, a bit of mixed as well. Looking back, how have things gone? I'm going to say an Oakland win. They had, a comfortable win against Cardiff. Wildcats will want to put up an effort and a battle against them. Sorry, not Wildcat. They are the Wildcats. Durham, sorry, will want to put up a good game against them. That tips off at 7 p.m. And then just half an hour later at 7:30, everything wraps up with the Newcastle Eagles versus Leicester Riders. Now, I am aware I've not mentioned a couple of players from those teams, purely just because I haven't watched an awful lot, again, as I've said. So please let us know if you're watching those games and you've got an idea of players specifically, then again, get commenting. That is all your action for the women. And on Sunday, we've got 3 games in the men to sort of tie everything up. It is Bristol versus London at 3 p.m. Now, again, obviously Bristol started with a loss, but I've got 2 wins. So could be a sign for Bristol to keep up and put pressure definitely inside that top 2 area. London will want to put things right and pick up a win. That one's at 3 p.m. Manchester, I've got to give a shout out to Manchester. Things didn't start great, but in their games since, they've been showing progress, absolutely. The losses have become less. Obviously, they're one of the winless teams at the moment, as well as London. But I think we've seen that Manchester are moving in the right direction. So absolutely. And Riders are also the only team to not lose now, obviously after Eagles picked up that loss. So some good results some sort of results needing to be maintained and to change on either side of the tables across the 2. So Sheffield and Manchester could be an opportunity, especially with Sheffield playing twice, for Manchester to go and get the win. It is on the road, it's going to be tough. So 4 p.m. And then 5:30 on Sunday, a fixture that last season didn't disappoint, is very, very sort of popular and nervy amongst Cheshire and Gladiators fans. It is Cheshire versus Caledonia at 5:30 p.m. That's going to be a tough one. It's the first time they meet. Obviously, Cheshire have played Sheffield twice. They've played Eagles twice. It will be. So Gladiators is now the job to get done. Larry will be back. He will have had a game. So it's going to be a tight one to call. I'm excited for it. I'd like to think Cheshire at home will do the job. Again, as we've spoken about, if they can hold off Gladiators in that third and have a positive start, then I think they'll be okay. But Gladiators aren't a team to write off by any means. They've had a really good couple of wins, so they will bring the game to Cheshire 100%. And I think it's between them two really to fight for that second spot. Newcastle, if they can pick up and get back to winning ways, I think they've secured that top spot. So it'll be interesting to see what happens in second place. That is everything in terms of action for this coming weekend and what has happened. I'm sorry I've not brought any NBL game results and fixtures. I'm still working on it, and I will bring up more wheelchair results as well, because that season has tipped off. Jack Davey from the Exeter Otters, who we've had on the show just last week, played Plymouth in the Devon Derby. So I will be doing some more content in the coming days regarding sort of wheelchair basketball. I'll do some NBL stuff as well. But with the SLB tipping off tomorrow for another round, I thought it was important to get this done. So yeah, thank you very much for joining me. I hope you're enjoying the videos. Again, if there's anything you want to see more of or that I could change, let me know. I'm very much learning myself as I go along hosting the show. But I'm grateful to have you guys with me, and I will see you on the next one. Enjoy the basketball. Shout out to, well, I'm not going to list them off as Egg has done, because as I said, in the Jack interview I will forget and I won't do it justice. But shout out to all British hoops, the men's division, the women's division, the NBL, and the wheelchair basketball. Wherever you're playing basketball, shout out. You're amazing. Keep going and go hoops. I'll see you guys very soon.